In the last video, I explained why fat loss goals always fall apart and why you eventually slip when your only focus is weight loss. Today, I want to take you to the next stage because if motivation fades and fat loss goals fall apart, what actually keeps people consistent long term? Habits, not the extreme habits you start with, but the ones you can actually live with. See, motivation is inconsistent, it's emotional and temporary. Habits are predictable. Habits don't care if you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed because they're part of your lifestyle. I mean, just because you had a bad night doesn't mean you skipped brushing your teeth, right? And most people try to restart their journey with a new burst of motivation. But sadly, motivation doesn't keep you in shape. Your habits do. The results you keep come from the habits you keep. And that's an important piece of information. And typically, many of the habits you use for fat loss are different from the habits you need for long-term living and weight maintenance. Fat loss habits tend to be large and more extreme, and inherently are more unsustainable because they require a calorie deficit. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have to have a calorie deficit for fat loss, but again, inherently it makes it less sustainable for the long run. And that is why people bounce between being on track and being off track. Because the habits for fat loss and a calorie deficit, they don't match real life. When you shift your focus to long-term habits, your habits start to shrink. And that's a good thing. See, small habits like adding some vegetables, getting some extra water, taking a short walk each day, hitting a protein target, or just getting one extra workout per week aren't dramatic, but they're consistent. And you don't need a lot of motivation to do them. And over time, they naturally become part of your identity. The key here is to develop identity-based goals. A fat loss goal is like, I just want to lose 20 pounds, but we got to go deeper. An identity-based goal is I want to become someone who lifts 3 days a week, eats in a way that supports my energy so I can keep up with my kids. And of course, that might mean losing some weight, right? But remember, fat loss goals are just numbers. Identity goals are the kind of person you're becoming. Your brain will always fight harder for the identity than a number. It's not that you want to lose weight. You want to get the feeling from that, right? You want to feel better in your clothes. You want to feel more confident, more energy, stronger, right? It's not the weight loss. Identity-based goals sound like becoming a strong mom, becoming someone who moves every day, someone who doesn't restart every Monday, right? Becoming someone who keeps promises to themselves. These identities pull you forward. Fat loss pushes you from behind, right? Now, one of the easiest ways to build consistent habits is to habit stack. And you're going to basically attach a new habit to something you already do every day. You could say things like, I'll make a glass of water to have after my coffee, or after I brush my teeth, I'll take my vitamins, or after I put the kids to bed, I'll prep tomorrow's meals. Or, when I open up my laptop at work, I'm going to track my breakfast calories, right? See, habit stacking works because it piggybacks on other behaviors you already have built into your day. And this is important because the goal, again, shouldn't just be to lose weight faster. It's to build a life where weight loss becomes more of a side effect. You don't want to rely on discomfort, fear, urgency, and motivation. You want to rely on becoming the version of who knows exactly how to live inside a healthy body without fighting yourself every day. And the worst case scenario is that these small healthy habits at least make weight maintenance almost automatic, which, as you know, keeping the weight off is almost the hardest part for most people. Usually people can lose weight, but keeping it off is hard. And if you want a place to start, here's 5 habits you could do that moves almost everyone forward. You could set a daily protein target, a daily water target. You could add a small step goal or workout each week. You could shoot for an extra 15 minutes of sleep at night, or maybe shoot for 3 to 5 servings of vegetables. And you don't need to do all 5 of these at once. I would start with one of these habits and really work on it. Personally, I like to spend about 2 weeks with people before I add to that. You need to prove to yourself that you can stick to the goal. And if you can't, you need to regress the goal back and then spend another week or 2 there. Now, in part 1, you learned why motivation fades. In part 2, you learned why fat loss goals fall apart. And today, you learned what actually creates long-term success. It's not the scale, it's not motivation, it's not discipline, it's identity and habits. If you build the habits to become the person, and once you become the person, keeping the weight off is going to be much easier. And if If this series helped you, make sure you're subscribed and share it with someone who's stuck in an up and down yo-yo cycle. Also, let me know in the comments which habit you're going to choose to start with this week. I'd love to hear it. Take care.